Hi, good morning. Today we will be going over the distance formula. This is going to be really useful in geometry and algebra classes. All right, it's really not that bad. So we can define any 2 points on a Cartesian grid on just a normal xy plane as, let's just say, x1 comma y1, and then we're going to say x2 comma y2. All right, so between any 2 points we can create a right triangle. That's exactly what we're going to do. There we go, right triangle. All right, so if you remember the Pythagorean theorem, it tells us that we can get the length of the hypotenuse, that's the longest side of a right triangle, by taking this distance squared plus that distance squared, and then just taking the square root. That's exactly what we're going to do. All right? Okay, so how do we actually get this distance? Well, that's just the change in your x value. It's how much you're going to the left or to the right. So we could call that change in x. That little triangle right there stands for change. It's pronounced delta. Or we could just say x2 minus x1. That right there will be our change in x. Okay, well, we'll do the same thing for y. We'll say that the change in y will just be y2 minus y1. Okay, so we're going to put it all together now. Pythagorean theorem tells us that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So to just get c by itself, where c is the length of the hypotenuse, that'll just be the square root of a squared plus b squared. What this will look like here, it'll be the square root of change in x squared plus the y difference squared, okay? And this will be put in all together. It could also look like this. Change in x squared plus change in y squared. One thing I want to note about this is that it doesn't matter if you do x2 minus x1 or x1 minus x2. The reason is that that difference will just be the same number, basically, right? If we, let's just say our points are 2, 5, and -6, 20, right? I could say that my change in x was -8, or I could say that it was +8. If I said it was 2 minus -6, that would get me +8. But if I said it was -6 minus 2, that would get me -8. It doesn't make a difference, because when I square either one, if I take -8 squared, that's going to be 64, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. And if I just take 8 squared, that's also 64. So it doesn't really matter if it's positive or negative. So that's not something to worry about. Okay, if we want to just do this example out, we'll just say, just make some more room. We'll say that we have the change in x right there. To go from 2 to -6 is a change of 8. To go from 5 to 20 is a change of 15. Put it all together, we'll get 8 squared plus 15 squared, using my calculator. We'll get 64 plus 15 squared is the square root of 289. And that right there is the distance between those 2 points. If you're wondering, it's about, oh, square number, didn't even know that. It's 17. Okay, so the distance right there is 17. All right, thank you for watching, and good luck with all of your tests.